Alright everyone, welcome back to another video on Kaiju No. 8 the game. So today I wanted to quickly explain some of the best teams and allies for Suited. Obviously this video will not contain every single team she works well with, as there are many different ways to integrate Suited on different teams, but I just wanted to show you guys a few teams for reference. So before we get started here, if you're new to the channel and you like Kaiju No. 8 content, please consider subscribing to the channel, as it helps boost the algorithm and helps more people find videos like this. So without further ado, let's first hop into the best allies for Suited. So, first ally that I really think works well with Suited is Future Sight Gen. If you want a more detailed video on this core, I'll have it at the end of the video, or you can check it out on my YouTube page. But basically how this core works is that, as you know, for Future Sight Gen, you have his see-through ability. And when you use his see-through ability, you, it takes 5 attacks to, break the 3 plates. But because Suited always does extra attacks, you break those plates even faster. So that's basically how they work together, but like I said, if you want a more in-depth review, you can check out the video for it. Another great combo is actually Suited in Reno. I've been hearing a lot of people talking to me about that, and unfortunately I don't have Reno, because for some reason this game loves to give me a bunch of dupes for other characters, but not like characters like Reno. So I don't have him to show, but he's really good Suited, like really good, and I would totally recommend pairing the two together if you have the Suited. So another great ally for Suited is Great Sword Kikaru. She is the only extra attacker I would actually pair with Suited, just because Ashura Bako and Shield Sagan just don't really have the stats to really keep up with Suited anymore. I mean, they're all older characters. Of course, Great Sword Kikaru is the newest of the 3. She's the only extra attack character that I would actually recommend running with Suited, and even she kind of falls behind. Like, she's definitely a tier 2 lower than Suited, but she's still a decent character. But I would only recommend running this core for probably Large Conquest or Mop-Up, maybe Fierce Battle depending on what you're facing, but definitely not anything crazy though. But this is definitely a good core, and if you want to run a type of extra attack team, definitely run these two. So the next core we have is Suited plus Over Limit Sagan, and Over Limit Sagan is by far one of the best characters, if not the best character in the game right now. And just she actually pairs really well with Suited because they both give each other crit damage. They both can hit pretty hard. Obviously Suited probably hits a little bit harder, but Suited boosts crit damage, Sagan boosts crit damage and attack, and Sagan of course can boost her own crit rate, and they just pair together really well. Plus Sagan's ability to give all allies that extra ult gauge charge rate, that extra ult gauge when using her normal attack, her enhanced normal attack, is extremely helpful. So they pair together really well. Obviously they're both sub attackers, but surprisingly they actually work together pretty well. So yeah, I think they're a great combo. Maybe not as good as like Gen in Suited or Reno in Suited, but still a very great combo. So the first team we have is a raid team for Suited, and I actually have a dedicated video to this team. Like I said, you can check it out at the end of this video or go to the YouTube page, but this is probably the best raid team you can have for Suited. It consists of Gen and Suited, obviously, the core of the team, and then Over Limit Sagan, because she's just so good, and then Christmas Kikaru, because pretty much these days you definitely need a healer when going against raid bosses, because they usually just have, so much HP. So you can obviously plug in someone else like Chester in here, but I really wouldn't recommend it just because you really need a healer for most raid bosses these days. So, like I said, this is a great team for raid. Any general raid content, obviously you wouldn't want to use this team for raid specifically or Total War, just because that's all about damage over time and getting the most damage possible. And this team is definitely not going to do the most damage possible, but it will break plates fast, and it will get you through most raid bosses in like Fierce Battle, or maybe even Kaiju Rush. So if you want to use a raid team with Suited, this is going to be your best bet. So for Large Conquest, this is the best team I could come up with. The current iteration of Large Conquest, because obviously every season they kind of change it up a bit, or every single time it rolls out. So right now, this is probably going to be your best bet. They usually have some type of fire plate, so Over Limit Scion is going to be great. And this season there is a lot of blunt plates too, so the thing about Suited is, if you're not going to run the extra attack team, the next best thing you can do is run a team that gets their ultimates very quickly, or is just really fast. So, this Blunt Kikaru in the 4th slot here, she gets her ultimates extremely fast, and so by doing that, that has a very good chance to proc Suited's extra attack, which is a 52% fixed chance, which is huge. So she might not be doing extra attacks like Greatsword Kikaru, but she can get to her ultimates very fast, which is extremely helpful. So for the current iteration of Large Conquest, this is probably the best team for Suited. And then lastly, for general content, I would probably use this team. When I say general content, I mean like Fierce Battle, and then maybe Large Conquest, depending on the day. Current Large Conquest, this team is not going to perform as well, but for stuff like Fierce Battle, or like, you know, some of the special requests that you might get, this Suited team is crazy. You have everything that you need. You got Blunt Break with Suited, you got Slash and Fire with Over Limit Saigon, and then you got Chester for support. And then I was thinking about putting another support character in this 4th slot, but then I realized Over Limit Saigon and Suited are both sub-DPS characters, so they have support aspects built into their kit already. And so I was thinking, I really need to add a character that just flat-out attacks, and lots of content these days has shot plates. If you go to Fierce Battle, the Kaiju Rush, just so many Kaijus with shot plates. Slash too, but I've been seeing a lot more shots, so you definitely want those shot plates. And with Gen, I do like Christmas Gen more, but the problem with Christmas Gen is that he is Slash Ice, and Ice is, you know, cool, but you really want those shot plates. And this Gen is a little more spammy as well, so obviously you could do Future Set Gen, but my biggest beef with him is that he is only single target, mainly because he's not really made for general content, he's made for raid bosses. So that's why I threw in this Gen. And then you could always plug in somebody else depending on the content. You could throw, you know, if you have an Ice type plate, you know, feel free to throw this Gen in. If you have more blunt plates, you know, throw Kaiju in. There's other options, but this 4th slot is really dependent on what is in front of you. But generally, for what I was seeing, for most general content, this team is going to do pretty good. So that's pretty much it for this video. If you liked the video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe below. And if you want any guides for Suited, check out the video on my channel. I have a build and showcase guide for her on the YouTube page. And that's pretty much it for today. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next video. See you next time. Have a great day.